Hey, real quick before we dive in, if you're a woman in midlife who's tired of the cliches and ready to live out loud, we're glad you're here.
Because you are definitely in the right place. We're not here to age gracefully, we're here to age boldly. So if you love real talk, big laughs, and the occasional spicy truth bomb, make sure to follow us on TikTok at Spicy Midlife Women for even more unfiltered midlife magic.
Because let's be honest, midlife isn't a crisis, it's an awakening.
Hey, all you spicy women out there. It's Michelle and Jules here. We are your spicy ladies from the Northwest, Seattle, Washington, and we're here to share our stories with you and have these no BS conversations. Right, Michelle?
That's right. We're here to help all you midlife women redefine your relationships, ditch those toxic cycles, and reclaim your power one episode at a time.
So let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
So today, what's the topic, Michelle?
We are setting standards.
Yeah.
Right? New standards.
For after 40.
That's right. That's us.
Now, one might think we're speaking about romantic standards here.
Nope.
But no. Well, I mean, I guess it could apply.
Maybe.
But really what we wanted to do early on is kind of talk about the standards just in general, just evaluating what your standards are, because I bet you we don't really think about that too much.
Mm-hmm.
People talk about expectations a lot, but expectations and standards are two very different things. And we can talk about that a little bit more too.
And I think that at midlife, when you think about that time period, when you're going through and entering into that, you'll find that when we talk about setting standards, and we'll get into this, but keeping it even with what you know, right?
Mm-hmm.
What wisdom you have gained through the experiences that have brought you to that midlife point, right? Not based on so much of your past.
Right. Which I think
makes sense.
Yeah, I think that is what we just naturally as humans have a tendency to do.
Oh, for sure. I know I did.
Yeah, especially with trauma, things that happen with, traumatic things in our life, or things where we've been humiliated or where we've really missed the boat on something. It's the trauma can really overshadow.
Let me just take another drink there as you're talking about that.
This is resonating with her, right? Anyway, we're not operating from, or at least I shouldn't say we aren't, because some of you might be operating from survival or fear, or, that place where you're not really super confident in your decisions and worrying about what will they think? What will my family think? What will my friends think, when you're making decisions? So there's all of us at different stages, I think, of this. But when we're talking about setting your standards, I think it's really important to have these conversations with ourselves and really kind of define it, because my venturing guess is, and I can speak from my own experience, I hadn't really done that. I didn't really define that. I thought I had, but I'd never really discussed it.
Isn't it interesting how I'm just listening to you talk about this, and Jules and I we're past 40, right? We're on a little bit into midlife, which is part of the reason we are spicy. We can look back and see what we've learned from our experiences, what brought us through, things that we've gained, how
major fuck ups.
How we've been able to exactly get through those things. But you were just talking about the survival in fear and operating from those things.
Mm-hmm.
That was me, 100%. I was totally operating from survival mode and fear and what will my family think, and the expectations that you bring into your life from your past, which have to do with how you were raised and different things like that. And then you can be so busy with whether it's raising a family or climbing the corporate ladder or doing both of those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Building, just that clarity for me anyways, didn't come until beyond that.
Yeah.
And
I think that's when we both were able to kind of take a deep breath and go, okay, what does this mean? Where am I now? Is this what it's supposed to be?
Right.
Because it was just a matter of, really, when I say survival, it's not like physical survival. It's like mentally surviving and trying to be everything for the people that were around you. I call it the superwoman syndrome. We've talked about that.
Yeah.
Where there's just nothing left.
Yeah.
You just don't have a lot left. And so that's not a good place to be. But I mean, you could hear me go on for days about societal expectations
Yeah.
and things that I think are placed on women in general. Men too. I mean, men have other types
Yeah.
of expectations that are placed on them within society. But I think there's a lot of things that we hold on to or that we've been taught or been drummed into our heads, by the generations before us
Yeah.
who have had it,
Mm.
shoved down their throat, I guess,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I'm excited to talk about some of these things because, I think if you're in midlife, truly midlife, well, what is midlife? We talk about 40 and beyond, right? So, and that's the age that I'm talking about when you're, survival mode and going through fear and figuring a lot of shit out, right? Yep. So anyways, excited to talk about that. We're going to talk about some of these standards that we're speaking of, whether it's lifestyle standards, emotional standards, communication standards. We're going to get a little bit into all of those things to just help all you midlife women be able to better recognize where you're at yourself and what you can do differently.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So going back to this setting the standards initially when we're starting about this, the question I want you all to ask yourself is, does the standard that I set or these standards that I set for myself apply to me now as a grown woman the same way, or are they for the girl that I used to be?
I love that.
Well, it's kind of really deep.
It is very
when
deep.
I think about that, I'm like, okay, the person that I was is not the same person I am now. Have I evolved? Have my standards evolved with me?
Yes.
And I would say, honestly, no, they had not.
Really?
Earlier on. I feel like now I've embraced things more, but I've also done the work to think about it and talk about it and all that kind of stuff, whereas I just hadn't. So, I mean, I think I'm all that in a bag of chips, but really I wasn't. I was not. I was really kind of, not.
I like that.
I was not I wouldn't say a whole person. I think I was not an evolved woman to the same degree. Not that I'm perfect now, obviously. We're all in the process of evolving, but I have a better understanding now of these things than I certainly did before. So ask yourself, ask yourself, do the standards you have now align with the woman you are now or the woman that you want to become? Or do they align with the person that you used to be?
Yeah.
Or the person that you were trying to maybe leave in your distant memory to some degree?
Not that it wasn't important.
Oh, absolutely. It's all part of your journey.
Oh my gosh. It all matters. It's all part of the fabric of who you are. So take what you have learned from that girl in the past and apply it to with where you're going as you move on and are entering into midlife and beyond, right? Because it's super important to know that and understand it so that you are able to, recognize the standards in which you want to continue with.
Right.
Yeah.
So bullet number 2, if we're talking about setting our standards here, are professional. I wanted to talk about professional standards now. Burnout is a big thing, and it's something that I feel like is more prevalent than we probably give it credit for. Generationally, I think when you're talking about being over 40, a lot of this is the hustle, and I am notorious for this.
Yeah.
I love the hustle.
Yeah.
Almost to the
used
point
to.
of, I
still do.
Oh my God, I love the hustle.
Yeah.
And that's, but see, I'm not at that place where I'm really, I like my inner peace. But part of my inner peace is the hustle. It's not to say that it can't be that way. It can, but, and a lot of that might be out of maybe the survival mode that I was in after I got divorced and really trying to be successful and on my own terms.
Yeah.
And in the way that made sense to me. So, but I've always been that way. And so it's not that hustle's bad by any stretch of the imagination, but glorifying things that have to do with hustle, they really do maybe take away from what it is that is bringing you your peace or the use of your time, how you use your time, what's important to you in regard to pay. It's like, is it making so much money, but being miserable at what you do?
Right. Peace has got to be a big part of that too, right? Setting the standards about, just like you were saying, your pay, but then also there's your peace
Mm-hmm.
and your time,
Mm-hmm.
all of those things that play into that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking with someone yesterday about a job that he was considering going back to, and the benefits were really good in this job, right? He hated it though.
Mm.
And the pay was good, but he hated it. And it goes back to this whole thing.
I can't with that anymore.
I just was like, why in the world would you even consider something like that?
Nope.
There's so many other avenues that you can go down where you are going to enjoy what you're doing. Maybe you're not making exactly the same amount of money, but you're happy at what you're doing. It's like, because I really feel like going to work should not feel like going to work.
Yeah.
I mean, when I go to work, I don't feel like I'm going to work. I feel like I'm excited to go to work because I enjoy what I'm doing. Not every day, obviously, but for the most part. So really kind of evaluating your professional standards and saying, am I overextending myself? Is this something that I have done in order to prove my worth? And am I doing that in a corporate ladder setting? Am I doing that in a company where I want to, be embraced in a more leadership type role? There's going to be all different components to that. And in some respects, more power to you as you're kind of growing into whatever job you have, or you're, kind of evolving into something else. Remember that there's always going to be benefits, but there's also detriments.
I think that the key part to that, what we were just saying, is don't overextend yourself, right? Because I think, for me, I was just thinking about myself. I totally used to do that to feel my self-worth. That's where I was pouring everything into the career, right? Made me feel good doing all those things, climbing the corporate ladder, but I was sacrificing a lot as a result. And because I had a lot going on personally that I didn't want to deal with, which is why I was doing that, right? So recognizing the things behind it that are going along with that. And even now, I started a new career 3 years ago, and I still overextend. That's the nature of who I am, and overextending to feel my worth. That's kind of part of it. But even in the last 3 years, I've learned to balance that. And even though I kind of thrive on that and I do that, I have learned to have a better balance with those things, and I still feel the self-worth, even though I'm balancing it and not overextending myself. So, being able to recognize when that's happening is super important. And you've got to set the standards for yourself with regard to that.
Well, I think from an early on stage too, is like, you're probably not going to work for a company that is requiring a lot of those things from you. There's a company called Amazon,
Yeah.
That is, and they employ a lot of people, right?
I don't work for them, and I overextend myself with Amazon.
I know. Well, they're notorious. They're notorious for burning out their employees.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if that's still the case, but I know a lot of people that work for Amazon, and it's definitely something that's out there. You work your ass off. It's like you're climbing whatever. You're moving from one department to the other. You're getting stock options. There's all kinds of things that are drawing people in, related to money, related to power, all those things. And, innovativeness, obviously, and the creativity that goes along with it. But at the end of the day, it's like these people, a lot of them are working insane hours.
Insane.
And their kids are young, and they're not. We're speaking from the choir, right? Because we did the same thing.
We did that.
Yeah. But it's something where, as you've kind of gotten to that place in your life where you've maybe been through those stages, and you're like,
been there, done that.
Not going to do that anymore.
Learn from it.
Or you're going to pick and choose the things that you really want to do that you're going to invest your time in. And maybe it's not going to be so financially fulfilling, but it might be fulfilling to your heart. Maybe it's volunteering. Maybe it's something else that's not related to work.
Well, and I think too, that kind of brings us into this next standard I want to talk about, which is lifestyle, right? Perfect with some of the things you were just talking about. I think it's important to raise the bar on how you are living, right? And being able to recognize what some of those things are. Yeah, is definitely part of that in regard to lifestyle and balancing. There's another flip on that though too with lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm thinking? It's just how you look in regard to lifestyle.
Like in terms of your complexion, or like how you
Midlife,
dress, or
yeah, just like a lot of those things, skincare, There's that. It doesn't just have to be about all those things that come into play that we hear so much about in midlife. Those exterior things,
Right.
I guess, if you will. It for me, and I think maybe for you too. I don't know. Speak up if not. But midlife and going through that, I think I learned more about what it is to be able to feel joy and what brings me joy, being able to be intentional about the things that I do, the freedom that I choose to have to be able to do some of those things, how I'm living, the environments that I choose to have myself in, the habits, the daily rituals. That shit changed a lot for me.
Yeah.
In midlife.
Yeah.
And
do you think it comes back to not having the other responsibilities? So you feel like you had more, it's like staring you in the face. You had more opportunity and time to focus on what was good for you?
For me, it was just about this whole self-discovery. All of the things that I didn't know were inside me that slowly started to come about, and I paid attention to that and gave time to some of those things, and I just ran with it.
Yeah.
I ran with it. I really did, and a lot of it was so differently than how I was living my life before. It was like this whole new, it was like a whole other world.
Do you feel like some of the time, I don't know how you were feeling about it, but some of the time prior to like, and divorce is the time frame really for me that a lot of this transition.
Me too.
Because I feel like I was doing a lot of treading water.
Yes.
And I didn't take the time, for really any of this kind of stuff, right? Joy, freedom, intent. Everything was based around my kids, making sure that they had what they needed, making sure that they were getting the experiences. And whether I did that well or not, who knows? You could ask them. They'd probably give you mixed answers. You do the best you can, right, as a parent.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's like kind of upgrading your environment. And it is something that you just realize, wow, this is something I totally can do. Or the people that you're spending time with.
Yeah.
Who you're investing your energy and your time in. It's like if you're investing your energy and time in people who are sucking the life out of you, you're not necessarily gaining anything from those relationships.
No, and when I vividly remember recognizing that, and like, I'm out. I am out, just so you know, without going into too much detail. I'm like, just so you know, I am leaving this place that I'm living. I'm bringing this with me, and none of this is coming with me. I like set some serious boundaries. I moved on, and that is when I started paying attention to things that I craved, that I never allowed myself to give time to. Something as little as drinking coffee in bed. I remember once I did that, I was moving on. I had a coffee maker and I set it up. And people listening, if you've not done this, ladies, you should try it. I put the coffee maker in my room next to my bed, the kind that has the timer, right? So it would like...
Oh, the smell would...
Yes. Oh my gosh. It would start brewing in the morning, and that's what I would wake up to.
Oh my gosh, that's a great idea.
The coffee pot was right there. I would like pour my coffee and have it right there in my room with me. No, I had to get up and get that. But I woke up to the brewing of the coffee. The smell of the coffee was right there in my room. It was amazing.
Because okay, let me ask you this. Prior to that, when you were saying, you really kind of evolved and made some changes and things and realized the things that you were craving, when you started making those changes and putting those boundaries up, how did the people in your circle or your life respond?
I mean, it was like there was like a trail. There was like a trail of circumstances that was, like behind me. And it's not like I was like leaving it in the dust, because you can't. There's still a lot of things that you have to pay attention to, but that's the thing, is when you set the boundaries for yourself,
right,
and be intentional about what that looks like and what it is that's bringing you joy, so that you can keep yourself. I mean, we've all heard the term keeping your cup full. It's definitely true. Doing the things that will continue to keep you going, that will fuel your fire to do that. It gives you more a sense of self, and therefore being able to look at that trail. I'm using that as my analogy. You've got this trail of things that is happening, but you have the ability to better pay attention and be more level-headed with regard to what you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the key part there is keeping your cup full and doing the things that bring you joy, and being able to recognize that, so that you are able to take care of other things that maybe aren't so pleasant.
Right. So you have that wherewithal to do it. The boundaries thing I've noticed too, I have done a lot of that boundary setting with people or even activities and things that I've done them for other people.
Yeah.
Or I have, put the energy in because it was important to somebody else. I don't think that's wrong to do. I think it's important that the people that are in your life know that you're going to show up for them, even if it's not something you're dying to do.
Sure. Yeah.
But not to the point where you're kind of overshadowed by the things that are happening around you, or the people that are happening around you.
Yeah.
Like you're absorbing their life. That's crazy.
You do not have to entertain chaos.
No.
You do not. And that kind of brings us into emotional standards, right? And not being clear on that, not entertaining chaos. That's a big one for me.
I kind of feel like I have been I was the chaos.
I mean, we've all been the chaos.
I mean, in truth, we've all been.
Sure.
To the point where there were periods of time, and again, this is probably, I remember so specifically around the same time that I had gone through the divorce, and there was a lot of stuff going on with my kids and everything. I was in such a bad place, that I feel like anybody that I was around would probably run away from me.
Yeah.
But I guess the key is that I recognized that.
I did the same.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah.
I just was trying my best to keep my head above water and be positive and everything, but it wasn't always working.
Yeah.
And so you feel like you're wearing a mask a lot of the time.
I think it's even more so important at that time to recognize what is going to fill you, back to that, because of what you just said. Because I remember that too, when I was going through all the turbulent things. I mean, I was the chaos. Yeah. I'm glad you said that, because it's true. But then once you move through that, and you're getting through, and you're learning, you're setting standards, making boundaries, and doing all those things, that's where you've learned. It's all part of the journey. You've learned. And you've come through all that. And now I don't have to entertain it anymore. I don't have to be it, because I'm not entertaining it.
It's interesting, because I have watched you do this before.
Yeah.
With people that are around, that you're very friendly, and you're nice to people. You're always kind. I've never run across a situation where we've actually had there's actually been people who said they don't like Michele because they just don't like her. And I'm looking and I'm going, why? I mean, she's like the easiest, most likable person ever. Maybe you're the problem, is what I've thought. But anyway, that's a different story.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And it's because I don't entertain
because
chaos.
You didn't entertain it. I think that's what it was.
And so that might make some people uncomfortable. That's okay. That's okay, because I don't want that shit in my life.
Yeah.
So setting those boundaries, it might cause some things like that. But if it's going to be what brings you peace, that's okay.
So do you think that setting boundaries can be viewed by some as being selfish?
I mean, it's sure. Yeah, that's possible.
So that's something to kind of be prepared for if you are looking at setting boundaries.
Yeah, you have to protect, though, the energy that you're allowing into your space.
Right.
Because that has an impact overall on how you're feeling and how you're going to project and those kinds of things. So protecting what kind of energy you allow in your space, I think, is super important. And that includes, to your points, you're going to have to say no to things sometimes. Yeah. Whether it's gossip, drama, people, with unhealed things that they're projecting on you, just like that's probably maybe that's what I was doing when I was the chaos, you know, and there were people around me that had to set boundaries. Yeah. So
exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. And I can think of a couple of times when that probably happened with people that were around me. And it's okay now. I mean, I don't mind it, but it's like you think that you're people that are friends, but they're really not your friends. I mean, and we'll get into friendship episodes and stuff like that down the road, but I think it's important to, make, like you said, the space for things that make you feel good and like make make your heart feel good, your spirit feel good. And it could be simple things like I went to the farmer's market last weekend and I got those peonies and put them in a little vase. I am not a fresh flower girl. You know, I can't, I kill things constantly. And I knew they were going to last for maybe a week, but I just really wanted to have something in my little space, you know, that was pretty and kind of a mention of spring.
Yeah, littlest things can make such a big difference.
Yeah, it made me happy.
Yeah.
It made me happy. And that was the other thing too, is like that I was doing things like, I think it was last weekend, that I haven't done really in a long time. And it was fun because it was something different.
Yeah.
Went to different parks. I went to this farmer's market I'd never been to before. I went to, just did different things I wasn't normally doing. And it just kind of added a little bit of like extra oomph, you know, to my weekend sort of a thing.
Do different things, ladies.
Yeah.
Do different things.
Yeah. And keep your peace. Keep your peace.
For sure.
Peace is pretty critical. So the communication stuff on point 5, this is the 5th thing we were going to talk about, is something that I feel has been a constant evolution. And is, I think, for all of us, we are all learning how to communicate differently or better with different people. And you have to remember that your communication style may not be right for some, it may not work well for some people. You sometimes have to flex how you approach things because you may not be able to get your message across as well. But the communication that you have is really important. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to be so blunt and direct that you're going to obviously hurt people's feelings. But it also means not sugarcoating every message that's out there because it's too painful for you to be direct.
But do it with grace.
Yeah.
I think grace is super important.
I think grace is important with everything.
Yeah, with everything.
Yeah, and it's the difference between, you know, coming across as someone who is unhinged and someone who has put some thought into
be gracefully confident, if you will, right?
Yeah. So
but I think on the flip side of that too, you need to recognize how to set standards about or around how you're spoken to. And that's a little less controllable, right?
Well, how would you control that?
I think acknowledging, like if somebody is speaking to you in a way that you don't appreciate, making it known, you know, I hear what you're saying. I appreciate why you might be feeling that way. I have to tell you that the way you're conveying that to me right now, I'm not taking it so great. Maybe we need to just step back and talk about this tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or whatever. And that could be with a friend, that could be with one of your children, that could be with, you know, a relative, family member, whatever, you know, coworker, anything.
Or it's you and how you're conveying. So if you're not conveying a message in a way, if you're conveying a message to someone who, and you're putting them on guard, they're not going to hear you, you know?
Totally.
So the communication, and again, this is, I mean, I constantly am working on this.
Yeah.
My word for the year, which some of you know, is listen. And Michelle's constantly reminding me, what? If you were listening, you'd know that your keys were in blah, blah,
I just
blah.
give her a gentle reminder. I gracefully,
I tell her to F
remind her. Yeah, that's what she did. Yeah, she's like, F off, yeah. Fuck you. I'm like, okay.
She's right, though.
Is it your word for the year? Listen?
Yeah.
She's like, fuck you.
I'm listening. Well, listen, but really when you think about it, listen and hear are kind of
two different
things. They're synonymous, but not, because it's like
you can be listening but not hear someone.
Not hear quite, you know, or understand what they're saying, or acknowledging, I guess, what they're trying to convey, the message they're trying to convey. So it's really paying attention to what they're saying and not trying to answer the question before it's or have your response prepared prior to them finishing whatever it is that they're saying, because then you're not really listening in the first place.
So another thing, and we'll talk, here's the last one.
Yeah.
Number 6 is decision making.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And the standards around that. You don't need the consensus to choose yourself, right? You don't need the approval from other people to choose yourself. That is something you have to trust yourself on, you know, more than ever. Trust yourself with that. No more like group votes or decisions
on what direction you're going
when it comes to life decisions. Yeah. And honestly, and this was a big one for me, is trusting your gut. That is very
Huge.
valid.
hmm
That is very valid.
So this is where I will bounce things off of my two closest people,
Mhm.
really. I will definitely bounce things off of them because I know that you guys will give it to me straight.
Yeah.
If I'm not seeing something correctly or if I'm unsure of something, it's not really about trying to validate the direction I'm going. It's really more about making sure that I'm hearing, I'm
Yeah.
listening and hearing something correctly,
Yeah.
you know?
And sometimes, you really have to pay attention and listen to your gut. You're like, is this me telling myself, or is this my gut
Mhm.
giving me that sense? And there is a difference.
Yeah.
So
And your partner is obviously, if you're making big life decisions and you
Sure.
have a partner, you are going to
Sure.
be talking through, hopefully, those life decisions with your partner because they affect your partner too.
Mhm.
Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to always get the support that you need. And even if it's your partner, you're not going to necessarily always get the support you need. And so you have to really kind of prepare for that and understand that regardless, if it's something you feel so strongly about, you are speaking about it with conviction, whatever the case may be, that you can bounce things off of people,
Mhm.
but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're making a decision for you.
Right.
And maybe they're judging the decisions you're making. You have to stand strong with
That's
the
always
direction you
good.
want to go.
There will always be that.
Yeah.
There will always be judgment from others in regard to the decisions you
Mhm.
make. That is something that I have learned.
Yeah.
And you just have to know how to be okay with that, you
Yeah.
know? So we can't please all the people all the time, and that's not why I'm here.
Here. So you spicy sisters out there, I guess it's your
Yeah.
turn, right?
Yeah, spicy.
Yeah, if this episode has sparked anything in you, just follow along.
Yeah.
Act on the things that we've talked about. You know, maybe pick an area of your life, whether it's work or friendships, wellness, the boundaries that we talked about, whatever it is, and upgrade one of those standards
Right.
that we've discussed.
For
And-
example,
Yeah.
say no to something
Mhm.
and don't feel guilty about it.
Yep.
Right? Speak up. If you're in a setting where normally maybe you don't speak up, whether it's at work or in some type of social setting, speak up.
Yeah. Surprise the hell out of
just
all
try
of them.
it. Yeah. Or if it's, you are engaging in a conversation that maybe is somewhat emotionally draining, it's okay to, just like I just gave that example,
Yeah.
and it's okay to express how you're feeling. You're not taking it this way. We're going to walk away from it. I want to continue, but just not now. Let's take some time and come back to it. It's okay. Give yourself permission to walk away from a draining conversation. That is totally okay.
And I think there is a big difference between walking away from something because you're kind of holding on to your sanity and maybe communicating about that and avoiding.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
Now, going back to the whole thing about work and stuff like that, I would think that I think that I have really dove into things work-wise, project-wise, whatever it was, to avoid a lot of the other stuff that was happening.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I just thought of that as a little side note.
Yeah.
But my venturing guess is some of you out there might be doing the same thing. And you know it, but you're not admitting it to yourself. I just admitted it out loud. So now you can do it too.
There you go. Just do it too. Say no without guilt.
Yeah. So, and that kind of goes back to that, like starting a project, things like that are things that have to do with setting standards for you. It's like, I am going to do this by X date. Keep your promise to yourself. Whatever it is. Maybe it's a specific hike you want to go on. Maybe you want to learn about different types of dance. Maybe you want to go pole dancing. Who knows?
Yeah. Belly dancing,
whatever. It's like whatever you want to do that's going to be the way you want to express yourself or what is going to help you learn more about yourself. Feel like you're going to be able to do that without having a lot of judgment around you, and just be strong about it.
I can't wait to hear some of these things that all these beautiful midlife women are going to share with us, because Jules and I, we're definitely going to be building a community around this, building a sisterhood where you don't have to be afraid to talk about some of this stuff and really share and get experiences amongst each other. So just know that that is coming. And we're super excited about that, because I think as women, we all have a lot to gain from each other. You don't have to do this alone.
Right.
And, we have been there, done that. And that's a whole part of what this podcast is and what the community will be.
Right.
So more to come on that. Stay tuned. You can find us out on all the socials. We are on Instagram and Facebook. You can find us on TikTok and even YouTube if you like. And listen on whatever your favorite podcast platform is. You will find the Spicy Midlife Women podcast there. So thank you so much for listening.
Yep. And let us know what standards you're thinking about raising. Just really put some thought into it. Look at one thing that you want to do differently and let us know. DM us and let us know. We would love to hear about it. We want to celebrate it and we want to amplify your progress and really share it with other people in our community. So
love it.
Yeah. Midlife. It's not a crisis, ladies.
No, it's not.
It's your comeback era.
It's spicy.
Yep. And let's set the tone.
Yeah, we're going to make it that way.
Yep.
All right.
Until next week,
stay spicy.
Bye, ladies.
Bye.